Firstly, some literacy. The word classification is a noun which comes from the verb to classify, and both of which are related to the word class. And class just means a group. So your class is a group of students. The middle class are a group of people according to income. You'll also hear the word taxonomy thrown around. Taxonomy is also a noun and comes from another noun, taxa. A taxa is a group. So whether you're talking about classification or taxonomy, you're talking about putting things into groups. Groups of things that have backbones versus no backbones. Groups of things that have wings versus no wings. Welcome to the world of putting things into boxes. It was the ancient Greeks that introduced the classification system of animal, vegetable or mineral, hence the game. Around the 17th century, a group of people began to call themselves natural philosophers and restricted themselves to the study of living things. Linnaeus was one such person, and he introduced us to the two-kingdom classification system. Living things were either plant or animal. Microscopes hadn't been invented then, so they didn't know about microbes. From these two kingdoms, living things were grouped into smaller and smaller groups, or taxonomic groups. We still use the names of the groups today. The smallest group, the most specific group, is the species. Yes, the two words are related. And the biggest, most general group is, or was, the kingdom. I'll leave it to Paul to describe the intervening levels. The foundations for the concept are laid in Year 1 with the content descriptor, living things have a variety of external features. It's these external features that early taxonomists used to put living things into groups. Modern taxonomists include DNA analysis to discover the relationship between different living things. In Year 3, this is developed further where students are introduced to the highest level of group in biology, that is, living versus non-living. Biology is, after all, the study of living things. Year 7 is where the topic is formally introduced, and you're likely to do activities like classify objects in your pencil case or the students in your class. You'll watch 2 clips. Watch and take notes on Paul Bozeman's clip, but then just sit back and relax and watch David Attenborough's clip. It's just beautiful. You've got to watch it. So, your objectives while watching these videos are to describe and explain the changes in taxonomic groupings through history, and to identify the levels in the modern taxonomic hierarchy. Now there's a real danger when teaching this topic that you can turn this into, now kids, remember these million facts and you'll be right. We totally get students do need some knowledge and they do need to know the defining features of, say, birds, mammals and flowering plants, but don't forget to do some higher order thinking too. So refer back to the clip in week 1 on Bloom's taxonomy if you need. When you're exploring classification, you will see a lot of resources just talking about the 7 traditional taxonomic ranks. But science and science education has changed and progressed to include 3 domains of life. With the aid of genetic analysis, Dr. Woese described 3 domains of life, archaea, bacteria and eukaryota. Life can now be classified into those 3 domains and then into the 7 traditional taxonomic rankings. The key to understanding classification is not about remembering all the names, but seeing and teaching beyond this so that students can understand the patterns of why students are grouped together. What characteristics or trait do they all have? If they can understand these patterns, then they'll be able to understand the anomalies at a deeper level. For example, why all birds can't fly, but they have wings. For older grades, provide a large overview so students can clearly see which taxonomic level they're working at, so that they can see that birds, class A's, does not sit at the same level as the invertebrates, phylum Chordata. Give the content structure to make it easier to learn. So, apart from knowing key characteristics of various groups of living things, also make sure that students get practice at making dichotomous keys and using real keys to identify, say, plants on the school ground. At any year level, have students create and use keys to classify. Obviously start with simple keys when they're young and move to more complicated and detailed keys as they get older. Have students research and label plants throughout the school grounds with their scientific name. Teach them to collect data. For the taxonomy, this will be qualitative data in the form of descriptions to help them key out their organism. Have students research endemic species for your school area. Write the principal a letter arguing for the replacement of introduced species. Create an interactive PowerPoint or an app to key out plants on the school grounds. Have students write an information card for a field guide for younger students, and then convert the field guide into an app and have students embed videos and photos.